Wait for it, and we're live. Hey, all you crazy sci-fi and fantasy fans, it's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. Just a couple of nerdy veterans and one chaos coordinator geeking out over our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction. So without further ado, we're going to let our guests introduce themselves. And since you've never been on the show before, Jorge, if you could introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers at home.
Okay, awesome. Hi, my name is Jorge, George. I go by both. I'm the writer-creator of Exodus Z and founder of Comic Unknown. Exodus Z is a zombie apocalypse in heaven story, and we also did that direction. Phantasmagoria, which is an indie horror anthology, which also has a small short story of Exodus Z.
Nice. And Evil Ginger, John Epple, if you could introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers at home.
Yes. Hey, I'm the resident Evil Ginger here. My name's John. I'm the penciler, co-creator of Exodus Z. I've done been a part of a few indie books. Mississippi Zombie. I was a concept artist on Mary Machine Gun. I've done Tales of the Collective as well. So I've gotten a little bit of experience with this stuff, and then I have a Secret Squirrel G14 classified project I'm working on too. It's almost done.
You mentioned Mississippi Zombie, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was going to say that's
Mississippi Zombie 2. I was only in number 2.
Yeah, but you're part of you have works in the franchise, is what I'm saying.
Yes, that's what it
is. It's a good zombie tales. With Bradley Golden, I think, is the one that writes that or
that. It's his project. I know which story is my favorite, but still, overall, it's pretty good.
It's obviously the one that you drew.
I'm totally biased. I have no shame.
So a true artist, my friend.
Absolutely humble. Everyone says so. The next part of the introduction is how we first met them. So we first found this terrible duo through the Evil Ginger, and I found him through Nick. They probably met in some nefarious den of inequity and ill repute, but they won't.
He invited me to Ton Tavern actually on the Marine Corps birthday.
I snuck him in.
Snuck me in. I put on a 5-corner hat. Nobody knew. I ate some crayons, fornicated with some farm animals. Nobody had a clue that I wasn't supposed to be there.
Hey,
I saw the bill. As a historian, I did look at your official first party inception, and I know you guys were there, and I saw the bill. Can you two go a little bit lighter on the booze next time? The American people can only pay for so much.
Hey, we did pass it off to a broke ass E2 who just got out of boot, and he just bought a Camaro at a 29% APR and married a stripper.
Hey, she loves him and only him.
Oh, she's not like the other Johns.
She's not.
It's not about the BAH at all anymore. And TRICARE.
She's not a single mom anymore, man.
That's right. She's
I used to have a shirt that said that. It had a stripper on a pole, like silhouetted, like an NBA symbol or something like that, and said, "I support single moms." That shirt killed its strip club.
Oh, we had one that was well. That, and it had $1 bill at a time. Or I'm sending girls to college. I fund
That's
scholarships.
What George Washington would have wanted.
That reminds me. Since we're on topic, I rewatched Zombie Strippers the other day. It's still just as good as the first time I saw it.
All right, but what about Zombie Pride and Prejudice?
It's been a while, but I've seen it.
Okay.
It has Matt Smith in it.
Yep. All right, Jorge, are you ready for the religion questions? Because this is like you gotta pass this to get into the rest of the show.
Uh-oh.
All right, Star Wars, Star Trek, or Firefly?
I love Nathan Fillion, but I'll still.
You sung over him. Now Jorge's gonna have to repeat himself.
Damn it, Ginger.
I said, while I love Nathan Fillion, I still have to lean towards Star Wars.
Okay. All right. And because we are polytheistic here at the Blasters and Blades podcast, the Game of Thrones, the Wheel of Time, or Chronicles of Narnia?
Repeat it. I didn't catch the second one.
The Wheel of Time, Game of Thrones, or Chronicles of Narnia?
this is probably the part where I fail because I haven't finished watching. I never got to finish watching Game of Thrones, so I have a hard time answering this one just because I haven't finished it.
So, what's your favorite fantasy property? We picked those three because they're in visual, as in like comics and graphic novels. They're in book. They're in movie. So you can pick your poison on the medium. But so, what's your favorite fantasy property?
My Little Pony.
Principles Magic.
Bronies, man, let's go.
I wasn't expecting this question, so I had to think about it. I don't have a specific favorite. Not for fantasy.
All right, that's fair. All right, and because this topic is about Exodus Z, a comic book Kickstarter with zombies, we've got some zombie-related questions, and this one's for everyone, so Ginger, don't mess this one up. All right, Zombieland, The Dead Don't Die, or World War Z? Evil Ginger, you get to go first.
I think I'm going to say Zombieland and then maybe World War Z because I haven't seen The Dead Don't Die.
Okay.
You're missing out, bro.
It's good.
I'm gonna write that down so I can try to find it.
All right. And what about you, Jorge?
Awesome.
Oh, yes, I have seen that. Is it got the dude that played Kylo Ren as well?
Yeah, Adam Driver.
That's
and
right.
Kylo
I have
Ren.
seen it.
Or
I
Kylo
don't think
Ren.
I've seen that one either, but I would definitely put I enjoyed the comedy relief behind Zombieland, so I would put that one before World War Z. But I do have the book.
All right.
Plus, they had Metallica in the opening scene, so that's always good for me.
That's true.
All right. What about you, Nick?
Okay, so I gotta look around. Make sure Stabby isn't nearby.
Stabby's his wife.
The Dead Don't Die, because she's a huge World War Z fan.
Really?
I like all three of them.
I need to.
I love all three of them. I mean, you pick three categorically hard ones to differentiate from. So, Dead Don't Die. I like the deadpan humor. I liked everything that was going on there. Zombieland because it was awesome, and it had Metallica in it. And then World War Z. I like fast zombies. I think they're scarier. That's why I like Snyder zombies. In Dawn
I
of
did
the
like
Dead.
how they did the building block thing too.
Yeah, where they were just
with
poured on top of each other.
Yeah,
like ants. I thought that was cool as shit.
I think that was a fun way to interpret the genre.
I like Zombieland because I learned the important fact of food in Zombieland. The Twinkies. They will outlive the apocalypse. You think the roaches won't die? That Twinkie will be good in 1,000 years when aliens land on our desolate rock. They will be eating our leftover Twinkies.
Remember, I would have cleared out the part and made that my home base.
Yeah. All right. Because we like to mix it up a little bit. So 28 days later, The Walking Dead or Dawn of the Dead? Evil Ginger.
Which Dawn of the Dead, by the way?
That's a good point.
I didn't know there was more than one.
There's the remake and then there's the Snyder version.
You get to answer whichever one.
The Romero version and the Snyder version. So the original and the remake.
I've only seen the original, so I didn't know there was a remake. But you get to pick either one. Dealer's choice.
I'm going to be polyamorous on this one and go all three.
Okay.
You whore.
He's a fundamentalist, Nick. You leave him alone.
Nice. You're a whore, despite being a fundamentalist.
But I used a big fancy word and everything.
And you used it correctly, too. I'm very proud of you. Here's a sticker.
All right, Jorge. 28 days later, Walking Dead or Dawn of the Dead?
I would definitely put 28 Days Later up in front.
Yep, that's mine too. All right, what about you, Nick? Tell me how I'm wrong.
I don't know, man. They're all three of those are good choices. We watch in this house because we're a house of horrors, not whores, but horrors. We watch all three of those multiple times throughout the year. So,
but
if
only
I had
on
to pick one, yeah, which is like 7 of them a week.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I don't know. My math's wrong. But 28 Days Later was definitely a unique twist on a zombie movie, the zombie genre, with the introduction of the rage virus and how quickly it popped off. You know, if it got into anything like mucus based, so your eyes, your mouth, your nose, anything like that, open wound, and you turned instantly and you got savage. But I liked is that they were still humans, so you could like take them down like a normal human. It wasn't the classic Romero rules where you got to like destroy the brain or sever the head or whatever.
I always assume that's part of the deal with a zombie.
Well, unless you're doing like Return of the Living Dead, like you can sever the head and both things will move autonomously.
Yeah.
So there of all the things that we've brought up for these questions is there's few ones that really stick out because of how they kind of changed the genre, and I tend to focus towards those as far as like favorites because of how unique and groundbreaking they were.
Well, I think sorry, go ahead.
I wasn't a huge fan of The Walking Dead, but one thing they did get right was the HOA was the bad guy. Because, the HOA got together and they were...
the HOA is always the bad guy.
Always.
Yeah, in every scenario. One of the things I liked about the 28 Days Later, though, is I felt it was a fairly realistic approach to the topic. And granted, it's still deeply rooted in fantasy because it's a zombie. But still, the way they presented it, I felt was like, damn, it could really happen like this.
It felt more grounded in reality.
Yeah.
So did you like The Last of Us for the same reason? Because that was kind of plausible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't ready for season 2, I'm telling you.
I heard they're making a third part to the 28 Days Later and then the
28 months later. Yeah, it got greenlit already. So they're in
Really?
pre-production. Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how they source food and stuff, because that's the one thing post-apocalyptic, regardless of the subgenre within it, get wrong, is they're always sourcing food out of abandoned grocery stores. And I'm like, no, stuff goes bad. That's how you get to botulisms.
Well, I mean, that's what we'll probably deal with in 28 months later, is because it went off the island, it went off the UK.
Yeah,
it's going to be 28 years later. They skipped months.
Is it?
I think so.
It's 28 years later.
God, that's too much. 28 months. Like 28 months, 28 years, then 28 centuries later. If you're gonna like create a franchise, I guess.
The Walking Dead did it, and trying to think of the other one, The Last of Us. They were still years later sourcing gas from abandoned vehicles. They were sourcing food, and like that's what I'm talking about. Is some of the zombie movies, they just forget. Like if you don't have the infrastructure, a lot of stuff goes sideways real quick and in a hurry, and eventually even bullets run out because you still got to take factories to produce.
Somebody's got to make them.
Oh, like how in Walking Dead they were producing them. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but that's luckily if you live in certain regions of the U.S., you can source for black powder if you wanted to go back to Civil War era rifles. But even that gets difficult because the percussion caps. How do you get those? You could go back to a flint rifle with just what you could produce on your own if you have a weaponsmith. But so
that's why nothing beats a good battle axe or a sword.
It's true.
Yep, that works. So, or you could be cliche and have somebody have a katana because
I've got one around here somewhere.
I would go with a Scottish claymore. That would be my version of the katana because it's heavy and you give a good swing, 360. You're going to take a lot of dudes down if that thing's sharp enough.
What I don't know,
a Rambo knife.
Oh yeah.
I do have a couple of katanas around here somewhere for artistic reference. What? You're Cuban. I half expected that you'd have one.
Okay.
Thanks, Nick. You just got us demonetized.
What? It's an airsoft pistol.
I like the Scottish basket hilt sword because it's got the handguard a little bit, and that handguard could also be, brass knuckles if they get in close.
Oh, I got those too.
A rapier would probably be pretty good too.
Would it?
Oh,
I would think so because it has the handguard on there. It's long, it's thin. You can
rapier works if they're wearing the right kind of armor or no armor, but if they've got plate,
it's only pokey, not stabby though.
Yeah,
but I can stab you right in the eyeball with it.
But you could do the Zorro
precision.
Yeah, but you could do the.
I put a whole lot of faith on my skills here, and they're not good.
Leave that up to George to do.
You got to do the Z first. You got to go full Zorro. It's like
Across the
required.
base, Z for zombie.
Yeah, but that will also be dependent on the zombie. Like
Oh my god! So
Train to
we all know the
Busan
story.
zombies, those Korean ones. You don't have enough time for that. Those motherfuckers run through half the train.
Oh, Train
in,
through
like,
Busan
2
zombies?
seconds.
No,
Yeah,
negative.
Yeah,
So
Not surviving that.
Forget it.
that
But
was
Zorro
pretty
is
good
a-
too.
That's one of my
saw
favorite
that.
zombie
Main
movies, modern zombie movies, by the way.
I saw
Just
that
because
too.
it's very reminiscent to 28 Days Later. It's just they just took it up another notch.
So did you like, if we're going to Korean zombie movies, did you like All of Us Are, what is it, All of Us Are Dead?
I'm waiting for season 2. Actually, believe it or not, All of Us Are Dead inspired me to write Exit Z, because there's this one scene where one of the chicks was praying, and I cracked the joke to my wife, and I said, wouldn't it be funny if she prays, dies, and then like she opens up her eyes, she's in heaven just to see another zombie apocalypse? And that's when I started thinking of it. It's so funny that you mentioned it. That's when I started thinking about it, and I searched it online, and I was just like, there has to be, like, there's no originality anymore. That has to exist already. I couldn't find anything. Like, I found like pinups for zombie angels, but that's it. And I was like, wait, I think I could figure something out with this. But yeah, watching that show, which I'm waiting for season 2, supposedly it's coming out next year.
Is that the one that looks like an old Kung Fu
what convinced me to start up Exit Z.
Their zombies were more of the fast walking kind, but this was like hours after this, so we don't know like what are they going to decay, what that's going to look like. So it had
we don't know the rules.
Yeah, it had the traditional Korean, almost soap opera vibe to parts of it. Like some of it, I'm not gonna lie, I was zooming through some of the scenes because I just wanted to see the zombie fights.
Teen melodrama. Also,
is that the one that looked like an old Kung Fu
it's
flick?
like Korean drama.
It does. So it had one scene though that hit hard. Like it's harder than I've ever seen in any zombie movie, where that girl that was being bullied finds out she's pregnant and she gives birth and she realizes she's going to be turning. So she ties herself up into this like restaurant and sets the baby aside so she doesn't kill her baby, and hoping someone will find it. I thought that was like, man, like that hits the feels right there. That was some of the most moving zombie cinema I've seen. So yeah, that's an interesting question, Nick. What would a zombie soap opera, if it was on Telemundo instead of like Korean TV, look like?
Oh, dude, that was that show we're just talking about. We're all dead.
It's more Korean soap opera than Telemundo's. It's got a lot more.
Oh yeah, because you don't have the hot chick in the cocktail dress just walking in there and slapping the shit out of somebody.
Well, so like the women in the Telemundos tend to be very sassy, whereas the women in the Korean dramas are more demure and shit's happening behind the scenes, right? Like
Caddy
works. So all right, we got one more because we're talking zombies, and then we're going to start talking about the zombie comic that brought us here. But we wanted to go a little bit more lighthearted to round out the zombie flicks. So Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, or Shaun of the Dead. Evil Ginger, you get to go first.
I'm pulling the same answer I did last time because they're all good, but for different reasons.
What a cop out!
Yeah, I was going to say. What a cop out.
I like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies for the historic angle, and it made Pride and Prejudice the plot worth watching. But I did like Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
Just because it was inappropriately funny.
Absolutely. Shaun of the Dead was inappropriately funny in a totally British way, which I liked as well. So I'm with you. I like all of them.
That was my first exposure to Simon Pegg.
Really?
Yeah.
Mission Impossible?
No. Shaun of the Dead came out way before that. He wasn't in Mission Impossible until like the third or fourth movie.
Wasn't he in the second one? No. I'm teasing you now.
Okay. What about you, Jorge?
I will have to go with Shaun of the Dead. Just because I do enjoy him and Nick Frost, especially with the other films. So there's different types of expectations when it comes to horror, comedy, and then proper horror. So when it comes to horror comedy, Shaun of the Dead is up there. Zombieland is higher than that, obviously.
Yeah.
And then you have your crazy fucking shows like not shows, movies. Well, shows as well, because there's that what's it called? The one that takes place in feudal, no, is it Japan or China? Kingdom?
Shogun?
I think it's
No, Kingdom. Yeah, the Kingdom.
I think I've
Kingdom.
seen Kingdom.
That one was cool, dude.
I
It was
thought that
amazing.
was Korean as well.
I don't remember what. Oh, you know what?
But
It might
it's
be
set in
Korean.
feudal
Because
I wouldn't
Japan.
be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised because Koreans do very well when it comes to the
To
zombie
me, it
trope.
looks like an old kung fu flick with zombies in it.
Speaking of Kung Flu type vibes, did you see in the All of Us Are Dead, they had that chick with the one girl was using a broken broom handle like a spear, and the other chick was like totally pegging people out at like however far with the archery stuff. That was so badass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They did. There was an anime that those very similar.
I was thinking about that same one. I've seen it as well. Some Train to Soul Station.
I don't remember what it's
I think
called.
it was.
It's been a minute since
It was
I've
in
seen
Seoul.
that
It takes place in Seoul.
But I
Korea.
remember when I saw in the show where the lady is basically an archer and the chick is an archer. I was just like, shit, I feel like I've seen this before, and I couldn't put. And I'm like, it has to have been an anime, and I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah, and it was like I said, there's a lot to like about it. It was just slow, so I just sort of fast forwarded it through some parts.
I'm hoping the second season, once it comes out, it'll be good.
Yeah, we're talking about the same anime, it's called Seoul Station.
Okay.
It took place in Korea.
All right, and Nick, you didn't weigh in, so last choice.
Oh man, I haven't seen Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies yet. I own it, it's sitting on top of the nightstand, but I haven't watched it yet. But I'm a big fan of Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. I thought it was funny. Same with Shaun of the Dead. I loved all the interaction between Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
They do work well off each other.
They do. Like Paul's one of my favorite alien movies, you know. So anytime those guys get together, I know I'm getting into some comedy gold here. But I also just saw a horror movie had Nick Frost in it by himself, and it was freaking terrifying. It was on Shudder.
So if you were picking a comedic zombie movie and it wasn't one of those three, what would you pick?
Exodus Z.
Obviously, you're going to pick your own. So do you think they could turn that into a movie? You think it's some?
I think it's possible.
I think we could expand it enough for it to be, if not a movie, maybe a limited series, or even if it'll be an anime, then it's not even gonna be funny. It's gonna be just pure horror. But I think there's a way of there's each different style of art. There's gonna be a different version of Exodus Z. If it's gonna be a movie, it's gonna have its comedic relief, but it's gonna be hardcore. But if it's gonna be some form of cartoon or anime or anything like that, I think that'll lean more towards the horror than anything else.
But I would still, knowing me, I would still sneak in some inappropriate humor.
Well, of course,
throughout
have it in the background. But when it comes to like something that's fast paced, outside of a physical medium of a comic book where you could actually just stare at it, a lot of people miss our humor in the background or the jokes that we'll be adding in there.
Okay. And last question, and then we're going to show the beautiful bean footage that is your trailer. So we are civilized human beings here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. We are no longer knuckle-dragging troglodytes. So coffee or tea, and how do you take it, Jorge?
Coffee, cream and sugar. Pretty simple. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, the only coffee I don't mess around with too much is Cuban coffee, because then you're gonna like see sound and you're gonna hear colors
all day. And at my job, I work with some maintenance personnel. They do 3 Cuban coffees a day.
God,
when we get in there around noon, and then once again around 4 to 4:30. By the ending of the day, if I actually manage to drink from each one, I'll be like all jittery and I'll be shaking and everything.
Yeah, they when I was in grad school, one of the girls that I was going to school with, her husband was Cuban, so he invited us over, because when you're in grad school, if you're one of the married people in grad school, like you kind of hang out together because the other kids are going to the bars and chasing things that are probably bad for them in the long run. And we're going to leave it there. But anyway, so they invited us over and they gave us Cuban coffee, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I thought my heart was going to explode the first time. I should have gotten the recipe before I left, because by the time I was done with grad school, I was like kind of addicted to it. But I don't know anybody in Virginia that's selling good Cuban coffee. So,
well, I was telling George, I found a restaurant because I've been living in my current house for only a few months. I finally started venturing out and seeing what's around us. Found a Cuban restaurant not far from me, and I've developed a habit of going at least once on the weekends to that restaurant for breakfast, just so I can have Cuban coffee.
Now I'm gonna have to double check. Maybe something new is opened. You've got me.
It's called Zaza's, I think it is.
Nice.
But I had it, and the rest of the day, normally within like 4 hours after I have my normal coffee, I start feeling run down again, where I need to have more caffeine. The first time I ate at Zaza's and I had the Cuban coffee, I wasn't necessarily amped up, but I didn't need any more caffeine for the rest of the day.
Yeah, we have like some Peruvian restaurants and a lot of Filipino restaurants because it's a Navy town. So of course, a lot of people came up here, and then we have some. I think we have some Thai restaurants, but we don't have a lot of choice for as far as that goes. You just get the standard Mexican restaurants, but nothing more than that. So
well, I'm sure they're all authentic too, being in Virginia.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you talk about Mexican food, you have to talk about what region of Mexico, because everyone thinks it's one monolith, but it's like a bunch of different subcultures.
Well, if you guys ever come to Florida, there's a lot of Puerto Rican and Cuban restaurants and culture around here.
And he's not even talking about Miami. He's talking about Orlando.
No, Orlando and
Tampa.
Tampa.
Walk into Miami and forget it. It's nice.
Even Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have most of the supposed Mexican food are influenced because we had a lot of people that came over from Puerto Rico because the Navy had a base there, recruited a bunch of people, and anyone when they pulled the bases out, a lot of people came to the area so they could keep using their benefits if they were retired military. So it's always a fusion when you're getting foreign food in our area. So not always a bad thing. But all right, so we are going to play the video that you have on your Kickstarter, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it. So let me roll that beautiful footage.
Well, hello there, fleshies. It's your favorite undead buddy here to talk to you about Exodus Z Issue 2. For heaven's sake. Let me tell you, this was going to be a real gut buster. Our angel pals are in for it now. They've got no choice but to fend off the relentless zombie plague. Talk about a holy mess, am I right? We're bringing back the same talented humans from the first issue to keep things flowing smoothly. Kudos to them. And guess what? We're adding not one but two new cover artists. Pierce Hazel and Liz Magnificent. They'll be bringing some eye-popping covers with our angels fighting back against the horse jury. We're aiming for a modest $27.50 to cover printing, shipping, and assuring a high-quality product because I don't want to hunt and import any comics. Your support doesn't just bring the project to life, it helps expand the Exodus universe. Join us on this epic journey. Your contribution becomes part of our legacy, and we're just dying to have you with us. So back issue 2, and let us keep this unlit party going.
All right, thank you for sticking with us through that commercial interlude where he was introducing his comic. And yes, I realized the music was overshadowing the text. That's not on our end. Apparently, Kickstarter just hates you, Jorge.
Yeah, I've tried. When I don't upload that, when I have it locally on the computer saved, you could hear my attempt in a creepy voice clearly, and the volume is just significantly lower. Every time I upload it back into Kickstarter, it's like if my volume of the music is at 100 and then you could hear me at like 15. I've uploaded it like 3 times during the campaign, and it just goes back to how it was. It somehow reverts back to the original. So
Weird.
I've honestly tried. I can't figure it out.
I've also had weird problems with Kickstarter myself. I'll go and try to copy paste the URL. And if I do it once and post it, it's fine. But if I try to post it again, then I have to go back to Kickstarter and copy paste the URL a second time and post it. Because if I try to share it after I posted it, then for whatever reason, we get that weird one, that weird site that we're all like, what the hell is that? I don't know if it's a Kickstarter thing or if it's like a Facebook thing, or I've even had that on Twitter as well.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's a Kickstarter because it's like it gives you, when you go for the shortened URL, it gives you a one-time generated thing, and then if you try to post it again, it jacks it up. It's something to do with the Kickstarter.
That answers that question then.
Because I've noticed that too. But yeah, I did like the little joke at the end. There was a pause where you're looking at this sign that's in front of this, dilapidated building, and skinny jeans are never okay.
You're welcome.
I was laughing hysterically at that.
That was all me.
So,
yeah,
all right. So,
I'm sorry. I was telling Nick when we first started doing this book, I was telling Nick some of the stuff I hid in the background. I don't think anybody will find all the stuff I hid throughout the book.
No, there's way too many. First of all, there's way too many. Second of all, people only catch the obvious ones, the ones that are literally in your face. You have to be paying attention to notice something significantly remotely close to the jokes that we're trying to have hidden.
There's a lot of stuff in the background that John puts in there that are little jokes.
I think John, I think for the most part, people have only discovered like half, maybe 70%,
maybe. Yeah, I don't.
There's still stuff there that people don't realize it. Especially there's this one scene where the spiraling walkway. There's a whole bunch of little Easter eggs in there, and people only realize about half of them.
Generally, yeah.
Movies will sometimes do that too. You'll have a weird poster in the background that they just walk by, and you're like, "Wait, does that say what I think?" But because if you're watching it on like Netflix or something, you can back it up and freeze it, and so you can catch things that they used to be able to slip in just for the fun of it. Now,
I love stuff like that.
But I like that stuff too. I dig it.
Especially if the movie is made off of a known property. So that's when you kind of expect to see the Easter eggs throughout the movie. So one of the things we hid in this book, I got together with a bunch of my people I know, friends in the indie community.
Nick's one of them.
Yeah, Nick's one of them. But we've gotten a bunch of cosplayers dressed as some of my friends' characters throughout the book as well. I'm not going to say how many or who all I got, but that'll have to be something that fans
catch. Yeah,
that's for themselves.
That's a very fun Easter egg that we're working on, because I think I doubled your count after a while.
Maybe.
But basically we try to have as many specifically indie creators and their characters to just make little appearances, because in issue 2 we make a joke about there being a Comic-Con in heaven during the middle of the apocalypse, and at that point we just went ham. We're like, forget it. Just had everything we could think.
That's how I worded it. That's how I worded it to anybody that I asked if it was okay, because I got some rather well-known indie creators, and that's how I pitched it to them, as it's not any kind of a crossover, because George and I aren't in a position to be popular enough where a crossover would be beneficial.
Yeah.
So I sold it as cosplayers dressed as the individual characters.
We cannot guarantee their safety though.
No, they're fucked. But yeah, that's why I sold it to Nick and everybody else, and they were like, "Yeah, hell yeah, man, do it." One or two people didn't want to do it, so I was like, "All right, no big deal." I didn't push.
Yeah, but we had more yeses than nos.
Oh, yeah.
So regardless, we have our fill. I think we could hide easily like 2 Easter eggs of indie characters from on each page at this point, because besides the ones that John brought in, when I started mentioning this whole idea, a whole bunch of people were basically saying like, go ham on it, do it. Like I don't care, kill my character.
This page I'm looking at now has at least 2.
It's probably one of the earlier pages, right? Probably page 4.
Yeah. Well, it's one with Nick's character on it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Which
Nick's
character
like,
was it? Is it Phantom Hawk? I know we talked about it in like.
It's my big reveal.
No, there's no reveal. Your camera's frozen.
Oh, dang it.
All right. Well, while he's doing that, trying to fix that, I'm going to show some of the art because that's you're talking comic books. Part of it is the art because that is the medium. So this is, if you look at the Kickstarter page, first off, he's got 24 days as of we're filming this, which means when you look at this on Sunday, it'll be 23, and he's like 2/3 of the way there. So
that's 1,000 remaining.
Pretty damn close. You're running a good campaign, boys.
So this is some of the art just to see kind of what you're getting.
Damn, that's pretty.
It looks good, and it also looks, like it's.
I love that panel right there.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite panels right there. And the move, you could see the actual move, the blur from the movement as he's stabbing the zombie.
But so I'm just
we're gonna go through color. I've only seen it in black and white. When John sends me, we're like, "What do you think about this page?" I'm like, "It looks good."
Yeah, our colorist Edgar Wolf, he does a good job when it comes to John's art.
The panel I just tried to show you guys, I'm putting in the chat.
Okay. I do appreciate the combat mustache, so the combat stash for the win. I'm digging that.
Yeah, we tried to maul him after Keanu Reeves, I think.
Wait. Is that Homie the Clown?
Can you guys know who that is?
Is that Homie the Clown? Yes. Homie, don't play that.
And then you got some of the art to show.
That's, Mary Machine Gun, no? Oh, dude,
And I think he was the first people I asked. And I used the more popular of it. But I made
we've got the robot talking to us, but I'm not sure anybody understood that.
Anything you said. John, your signal is like piss poor, dude. You're gonna have to get closer to that router.
Bro, get Starlink.
Yeah. Okay. I think I should pop in. Okay, so if we look at that real quick, the first one on the left is John's, with the colors of Edgar Wolf as well. The second one is by John Psychokotsis, which he also got the colorist Edgar Wolf to work on it. Cover 3 is by Pierce Hazel. He's from the UK. And cover 4 is by Mez Magnificent, which he used. Cover 3 and 4 are both using just markers. The draw it, color it, ink it, and then they use markers only. There's certain parts that looks like if it's watercolor.
Like Copics, probably. They give that
one.
Effect.
I know for a fact, the third one of the female zombie angel, I know he used Copics, but I don't know what Mez used.
Yeah, the third one definitely. I have an eye for this stuff, being also in the industry and using Copics. I hate them because they're expensive. But it definitely has that Copic feel. I really dig the Copic feel though. You can tell the first two are done in digitally, which is great. I like the first two, and the second one's really popping out at me because it's definitely giving me that like Tales from the Crypt comic book vibe.
Well, that one's an homage. The second one, first of all, technically all of them were traditionally drawn and inked. It's just the colors after the fact. But the second one by John Kotsis is an homage to Swamp Thing #5, where
okay, there
we're
it is.
trying to claw onto him and fight him. and then in the background there is the woman just sitting in a corner, but we just swapped it out for a
But
dead
I'm
zombie.
talking about the branding, the masthead, the logotype, all that's going on
Oh
there
yeah,
at the
yeah,
top.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That
was
is giving
another
me
goal with that.
Tales of Suspense,
Mhm.
Tales from the Crypt, all those old horror comics to which
Of
the
course.
comic books code authority was like derived. That's what
Well, yeah,
started it. Was
you
those
can
kind
actually
of
see it
comics.
right there.
Yeah, right
when
there.
it comes to,
Yeah.
the comic unknown authorities or something stupid just to
No, that's cool, man. That's clever. No offense to John's cover. I'm probably gonna get that one just because of the masthead and the stuff you got going on there. Because I it's fun. I like bringing in stuff from the past. Those things always catch my eye.
Speaking of Zon, this is what he was trying to show when his computer shit the bed.
I actually don't have that one in well, let me see if I have that one here colored. I didn't put it in the campaign, but yeah, I didn't want there to be I didn't want people to be paying too much attention to them. But yes, you could see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 zombies right there. I'm trying to open up the file right now. Dropbox.
Yeah, you can see it. So I don't know if they can see it, but when I move my mouse, they can see it. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 biting the guy, and then 5 off to the right.
Yeah. I think I have here. Just trying to remember what page it is because I have everything here organized. Let me see. Page 4. Here it is, page 5.
All right, let me pop it over. Hold on, we'll give you solo. Give me just a second.
Take your time.
There you go.
There you go.
Let me try to get it in an angle without getting the glare. But
Yeah, you can still get it. You can still get the idea.
That's a good spot right there.
Looks good.
That one's a badass shot.
So, all right. So, getting back to this, this was on your, this was on the Kickstarter page, which is where I grabbed it. So, what's the story of the?
Okay, so that's a collab that we're working on with CL Zeno. He has a campaign going on right now called Drunk Mauve, and we just did a crossover where her superhero characters bump into 2 of our characters from issue 1. The one on the left is the preacher, which you see him in book 1, and all the way in the far back right would be the zombie that's actually. Let's see, he's not here. Here's a good shot of him right there. Ooh.
Oh, Easter Bunny zombie.
Yeah,
because that's not horrific.
Yeah, we have a male and a female. So, and you can see. Oh, actually, she's in the same cover. Just realized it.
Nice.
Yeah, so we have a male and a female zombie, with bunny ears for some weird reason.
Nick, what do you think of this one? It's got your superhero zombie vibes.
Love it. Love everything about it.
I'm digging it.
The pacing is good. The camera angles are good. I dig it.
I like the head just floating around off to the side because it's been cleaved off on the first panel, the top panel, I guess.
Yeah.
I really dig this one. This is my favorite of all the covers I've seen.
That one's pretty cool.
But it does look like this guy.
So that one, that's the standard cover for issue 2, and right here I have the standard cover for issue 1, and you could tell it's the same artist. Very nice. I fell in love with this cover the first time I saw it, and he added in the background talking about Cuban coffee, but he put Cuban food right here, right there.
Nice.
Yeah, Cuban food, cigars, because we were trying to figure out where the placement of the city of Exodus Z, and I just thought just make sure there's something Hispanic in the background.
Yeah, there's he's missing one of his legs, which I didn't catch at first.
Well, you could kind of see. Okay, so if you go down a little bit, you could kind of see the second leg on the right side.
Yeah,
in the silhouette, it's in the shadow.
Oh, they're stacked behind each other. He's turned.
Yeah,
got it. Okay.
Yeah, he's doing some weird like that. Oh, and the one in the right and the left is the preacher, which you saw in the pinup, and once again the female zombie with the bunny ears. which John has a very, 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 very interesting fetish with it because he puts her in almost everything.
All right, so like let's start out. We lost John because his Wi-Fi. You'd think somewhere like in Florida, he'd have no excuses. Like if he's in the middle of the mountains and BF nowhere, like I get it. But when you live in a metropolitan area, you got no excuses. Do better,
Yeah,
Florida. Do better.
it's Orlando. It's probably near a swamp or something.
That's true.
Or maybe his like Wi-Fi router was swallowed by an alligator and he had to wrestle it later, and just you never know. But okay, so let's start with the important stuff because obviously we have some families that listen, and comics do appeal to young boys. What would you say the age range, if you were going to give it like the movie scale rating that everyone's familiar with, what would you rate this comic? So for parents,
So for Exodus, I'm always looking. It's a mirrored image. So for Exodus Z, shit, I've sold it to kids in conventions. So there's no nudity or anything like that. I think you see maybe
Mostly gore and violence. Probably.
Yeah, it's just gore and violence. And people are so numb to that now that I don't think it's an issue. Phantasmagoria, which is now the 9 horror stories, there is a little bit of nudity in that one, so I'd say that one will be teenager and up. But for Exodus Z, if there's a 12-year-old that likes zombies or an 11-year-old that likes zombies, have at it because it's just pure entertainment, and there's nothing too R-rated for it. It's just like I said, gore and zombies. So like I said, I sold. I think the youngest person that I know picked up Exodus Z. He was probably like 10 or 11, and the mom was with him, and she was cool with it. So I was like, okay, that's fine.
I mean, if the parents, like everybody, obviously as parents, you know your own kid, right? And so kids mature differently, but it gives you a general idea if you're looking for it. So obviously the Kickstarter is to fund the print copies because in your industry, the print quality matters. The print on demand probably isn't the best option for comics. Like it works for print books because you just need the words to be readable. So what kind of tiers can they be? Like if they've discovered this and they don't, like this is the first they've seen of it, can they get back issues? Like what all can they get from your Kickstarter?
So I don't know if you have the campaign open where you can see the rewards. But you could first off, the most basic tier is getting the digital copy. The digital copy, not only would it be issue 2, it'll also be issue 1. Then you have the physical issue 2. Then you have one that is the physical issue 2 with a copy of issue 1. So it's basically the catch up. And then you have the variants. And then there's a couple bundles that we have. We have one that's called the Heavenly Bundle, which is a copy of each cover. And then you have the Collector's Bundle, which will come with 2 copies plus extra goodies that is not readily available for anybody in the lower tiers. There's this exclusive magnet that I managed to get, which is like the size of like the annual pass holders for Disney. I want to say it's like 4 inches by 6 inches. It's pretty big. That's going to be included there. Anybody that gets at least 2 of the covers automatically get the digital deluxe, which we've teamed up with a couple of indie creators that they gave us a copy of their issue 1s for their work, and it's just a huge folder of like right now we've unlocked I think it's 9 or 10 books for the digital deluxe, and it's just adding on to the value for that. In the add-ons, we also have this shirt. We have this hat. I just realized I was wearing it all. And we have I don't have it in front of me, the Wham stands.
Product placement in the biz there, Nick. Product placement.
The Wham stands as well, which are the stands that has the logo in front. It's on the campaign. You'll be able to see it there. There's a good amount of stuff available, and there's a little bit for everyone. You don't have to necessarily grab every single cover. You could choose whichever cover you want. There is the additional accessories, like I said, the hat, the shirt, and that gets printed. That will get created once somebody actually picks it up. So it's not like we have 20 readily available. It's all dependent on how many people actually grab it. So I guess you could say that's somewhat exclusive. There's not a high print count for it, and they're pretty good quality for the most part. And that's what I can think of in the top of my head without actually looking at the campaign. Issue 1's available, issue 2's available, all the covers, the wham stand, the hat, the shirt, the magnet, and the 2 different bundles that we have in there.
Okay, and so I'm going to pull it up real quick, but
yeah, that'd probably be easiest. Just to you could scroll through the images in the story section of the campaign, and that's all in there.
Well, when I do that, it freezes because I'm the host of the podcast. Sometimes it'll let Nick do it, though. But I'm going to show you something I thought was kind of cool.
Is it the international backers?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We have a couple people that I think I have 2 people from Canada and 2 people from the UK that enjoy the book. So, and man, international shipping is a pain in the ass.
Oh, so, dude, that's what costs me the most money when I'm doing stuff.
But at that point, I want to keep the fan. It's fan base building. So with that, it makes life easier for them. So it's basically a free upgrade to the next thing. So if you back for 2 covers, you're gonna get 3 covers. If you back 1 cover, you're gonna get 2 covers. If you back the Heavenly bundle, which is the $50 tier, it will upgrade you to the collector's bundle. So it's just a free upgrade to whatever it is to offset the high shipping costs. Because honestly, there's not much I can do lowering the shipping cost outside of just giving them an upgrade.
No, that's. I mean, the fact that you even thought about it, because a lot of people just they accept that it's going to be a cost thing and they let it go. Yeah. The fact that you're trying to help them around that issue. We've done a lot of Kickstarters. You're the first one that ever did that we've seen.
Well, there's. I don't want to put myself there like if I'm a pioneer on something or anything like that, but I love giving back to the backers. So besides that, we have that for the international backers. My idea of stretch goals is just fucking insane because everything, like, you breathe and you unlock the stretch goal. So besides the fact that you had the funding goal and then the backer goal, we did one called the comments goal, because trying to see if we get towards the front page of Kickstarter, if anybody that backs the campaign and they leave a comment, every 10 backers that comment, we add either a mini print or a sticker on top of that.
Nice. So I really do, like I said, it's nice that you're doing the attempting to give back to the people who, just by virtue of geography are at a disadvantage with a lot of these programs. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and we managed to keep a couple backers. Like I said, we have this one backer now that he's backed Exit Z and Phantasmagoria. He also backed this one because of the fact of giving that incentive. So I get it. There's nothing I can do about it except for just saying, look, I know you're going to be paying an arm and a leg for the shipping. At least the least I can do is just add an extra book. And that's managed to keep him and a backer that we have from the UK that they just keep coming back. So I can at least say that my books are international.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a worst case scenario, you have the tier that lets you buy just the digital so people can still read it, even if they can't afford to get the print copy.
Yeah.
That's almost mandatory now, since the internet offers such a wide variety of people. It seems almost mandatory that you should offer a digital tier for all your books.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and it's good. It's a good business model too. So
forgive me for areas. So I don't want to come off as like insulting or crossing lines, but from an etiquette point of view, for people that are overseas, I mean, is it okay if they print it themselves once they buy the digital copy? I don't know how that works because it's not an issue for books, obviously.
I wouldn't even know how, because when we send out the PDF, it's not going to be like the perfect
It's hard to
original
print at
quality.
home.
Yeah,
Okay.
if they print it at home, it's just going to be what printer paper. I'm not.
It'll
Gonna,
be 8.5 by 11. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's not really feasible. Okay. I wasn't sure. I know some people.
I've had fans do it, because they want the textile
something
touch
physical.
to it,
Yeah.
But
I found
there's a lot of
like,
countries that are very expensive to ship to that you have to exclude, unfortunately. With the digital options, where they can do practically their own ad hoc print at home, which is fine if they're okay with that. I mean, not everybody has access to a digital reader, an iPad, or a Kindle, or whatever. But the digital, that's how we cover those regions where it's more expensive for us to ship it to them than.
So I know I found an out of print for a friend of mine. I found an out of print RPG that nobody owns the rights. I couldn't find anywhere where you could buy it, but I found it digitally because the fans were still interested. And I just went to, I think it was Lulu something. It started with an L. And I just printed it that way because there's nobody that owns the rights. So, I mean, I know there are printing options, or you could just go to Kinko's or Office Max or something. But I just wasn't sure what the etiquette was because, we obviously are all artists of some way and we don't encourage piracy, but sometimes if certain things aren't available just by region, you got to get creative sometimes.
I'll share with you a funny story. When I was trying to print my own stuff for prints, if it looks too professional, it'll raise red flags for the people that are printing it, and they'll shut down the order.
Really?
So I was trying to do a print run of posters through Office Max of my character, my copywritten character that has it's in the Library of Congress, has my signature on it. I have a copy of it. And they're like, we can't print it because it's professional. I'm like, okay, first of all, thank you. I have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Second of all, print my shit because it's mine. And they're like, well, you don't have to get so. I'm like, dude, I'm the creator. I drew this. Make this happen. Well, we just want to don't get in trouble because it's copyrighted material. I own the copyright. It's fine.
Yeah, it should only matter if someone comes after you for violating the copyright.
No,
look, you can sue yourself and have fun. You could ask for weird
what money?
things.
I'm going to sue myself and have a zero-sum game. That doesn't make sense.
You ask for weird things in return and just see how far you can get in the court systems. Like, I demand intimate favors to settle this out of court. Just go ham.
I want Tulsi Gabbard to rule the case. She's not a lawyer, but I just want her there.
Well, going back to the whole printing thing, I think I use Pirate Ship to export, and they have a simple export rate, and I think there's a cap for a specific for even if it's just one book, there's a cap, and I know it gets to like $20-something bucks, but that's where the incentive with the Kickstarter, where it'll be $20-something bucks, but if we add a book in there that's worth $10 or $12 in there, it kind of offsets it a bit, and it's more. Yeah, you would have to think of it as that you only really paid $12 to ship from the United States all the way to, I don't know, to Thailand or something like that. Which in that perspective, I think that's not as bad, because if they're gonna go somewhere to start printing, it's not gonna be cheap to print a proper book, each page one at a time, and then get it. I doubt they're gonna get it bounded, so they're gonna staple it. It's at that point, it's like I said, you cut the shipping in half if you want to think of it that way, because you're adding extra material. And I've got
other
for something to
overseas printers that are out there that you want to use them for, like some of the other locations that are. If we were going to ship it domestically, this is what I found out. If I'm going to ship it domestically, like I had it printed, had it sent to my house, and I'm going to ship it here from my house in the United States, it's going to cost me more to ship it to certain regions. But I've been able to find other printers overseas in like Europe and Asia that will do fulfillment. It's essentially print on demand, but they have fulfillment services. You tell them, hey man, this is what I got. Pay them a little extra, a little bit of extra razzle dazzle, and they'll ship it to those other regions. The biggest market I have a problem with is shipping to Canada. It's more expensive for me to ship books to Canada than it is to Great Britain or the Netherlands.
You don't use Pirate Ship? Because I use
Stamps.com. Stamps.com.
No. check out Pirate Ship, pirateship.com. As silly as the name sounds, it's a shipping service, and they have a simple export rate, and they point out specifically, Canada gets a cheaper rate than the rest of the world. I think it's domestic, Canada, and Mexico, and then literally the third button says everywhere else.
A lot of my Canadian customers that live close to the U.S. Canada border, they have like a post office box on the U.S. side, and
that's smart.
So I have to ship it to them, and then they're like, okay, well, in a couple of weeks when all the other Kickstarters that I've backed show up, I'll drive down to the U.S. and go get it. But Pirate Ship, I'll look into that.
It makes sense.
I just shipped something to Nova Scotia, I think it was, and
That
it was
sounds about right.
shipped there than it was to the UK.
Well, it makes sense that yours isn't going to be as expensive as like a novel just because the weight of a comic book compared to the weight of the standard book. But I know when Brandon Sanderson did his big deal where he was going outside the trad pub and trying to encourage people with the Kickstarter he did a year or two ago, I guess, he mentioned that it was like quadruple the price to ship those books to Canada, whereas he could have like paid 25% less if he put them in a truck, crossed the border himself, and then mailed them on the other side of the border.
Yeah, one of my buddies online does a comic book called Blood Force. He's from Canada, and it's one of the things we talk about regularly is how ridiculous it is to ship books from here up to him. But yet, if it's from him down to here, it's a heck of a lot cheaper.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine as well. He did a book called Morgan's Organs on Kickstarter. This was a couple years back, and I believe he's just above the border. And what he would do is that the majority of his backers are from the U.S. He would just drive down one weekend and then just go to the local USPS and just send everything from there. So then when you finally receive the book, you know it's from Canada, but then like you see it coming from like New York or something.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
A win's a win in my book. I mean, no matter.
So back to your comic. Obviously, you've drawn it. So the people that are backing it, you're literally backing it to fund the print run. It has, roughly a month left. I think 23 days, we said earlier, when they listen to this, because it's 24 right now, and this is going to air out tomorrow.
24 right now, it'll be 23 if it airs tomorrow. We have, I want to say a third, 100% done, because it even has the lettering, and the funds is basically to finish off the remaining of the book. So the funds is to get John to become a hermit crab for about a month. Yep. And like not come out of his cave, and then we'll send it to Edgar for the colors, and then our letterer, which I just realized I haven't even spoken about her. Her name is Nikki Powers. She's from California. She gets the lettering out. She'll knock it out in like less than a weekend. But yeah, basically it's to complete the remaining of the book and printing. That's where it all goes to.
Okay. Now that I have Wi-Fi back, this is what I was trying to show everybody before.
Yeah, I showed.
Oh, that bottom panel, yeah.
That I was showing it to them in color.
No, that's not Keanu Reeves stunt double.
Totally not Keanu Reeves.
So, obviously, you said it's family. It's kid friendly if the parents are the kids can handle the gore and the zombies. Do you ever address the cause of the zombie plague?
It has not
Not
been
yet.
addressed yet. I'm planning on it, but
we're trying to sucker you into buying the whole series.
Yeah.
You have
so, do you have the standard trope of trying to get to the CDC building in Atlanta or wherever?
No.
Going on.
Season 1 of Walking Dead now.
Yeah.
I think I basically told John I want to make this story with like imagine a train going 100 miles an hour with no conductor, and it's just gonna be a fucking chaotic mess, a beautifully chaotic mess with just pure gore and worst case scenario on every single aspect, every corner you turn is just gonna be. It's like, God damn it! It's like something even worse pops up. But there is some form of organization behind it, and there is a direction. And to give you an idea, issue 1 was called "What on Earth." Issue 2 is called "For Heaven's Sake." Issue 3 is called "Oh Hell No." So you could kind of have an idea of who's gonna eventually make an appearance, and it's just pure mayhem. That was the goal for
Issue
this
3
story.
better have an appearance from Outcast.
Nick, they don't pay me enough to listen to that.
One from
This is the part where the video gets knocked down because of copyright infringement.
So
No,
what
it's me
is the
singing.
arc-
They're like, "Oh, Nick, sing it again. We're good."
So what is the arc of this series? Do you have a definite end, or is this going to try to be a long-running comic series?
I had originally just thought about doing 3 issues, and then I was playing with the ending. At one point or another, I had 2 ideas of two different ending ideas, and I managed to just one day think about it hard enough to realize that I figured out a way to do both endings together, and it's just one causes the other. And when I thought about that, I thought, okay, if A and B occurs, that means something's gonna happen. It would lead to a C, and when it leads to, I know I'm being big as fuck right now, but by leading it to that direction, I could literally almost double the series. But that would probably be more of a volume 2 more than anything else. But this arc is 3 issues. It takes place in heaven. The second arc, if it does occur, I thought, what type of other religious beliefs or what type of other heavens would struggle facing the apocalypse? And I thought one good one. This is still just a theory and just a thought. I thought one good one would be the Duat. The Egyptian afterlife.
Wow, yeah.
That'd be fucking cool. Like a zombified Anubis. And then I just I fanboyed myself into the idea of a volume 2. And I was like, God damn it, why did I do that? Like, why did I even think about that? Odin versus zombies.
And plus, George does let me add my 2 cents in, so there's really no telling.
Yeah, this could go anywhere.
How far this is going.
This could go anywhere. It
with
could
Anubis, though, would you have the scale?
I'm sorry?
The scales, the human heart versus the weight of the feather?
Yeah.
You got to have that.
Maybe.
Well, it's actually not Anubis that holds the heart there. And I did the research.
Iris. Isis.
Yeah.
Iris?
No, it's
one of them.
Hippo.
Oh, I have the research done because I'm writing that book series with James. And when he passed, I got stuck with all the stuff that he was supposed to be the subject matter expert. I'm having to research. But no, there's like an alligator type creature that eats the soul if it's found wanting. And there's a specific goddess. No, it's
no, Set's a coyote or a jackal.
Say right now.
I know this.
Tawaret. I can't fucking pronounce that shit.
Yeah.
She was in Moon Knight. Were they able to where they're trying to find the weight of Moon Knight's heart and whatnot.
And it's the devourer of hearts is the alligator crocodile creature.
Yeah, but we're not necessarily huge on symbolism, but
no, this is more chaos than anything else. We're not going to get
not historically accurate
because if not, yeah, of course. Well, first of all, we're talking about zombies.
we fall firmly in artistic interpretation.
Yeah, we don't get too religious even in Exodus Z. I think the most religious we get with scripture was in the first book where the preacher's having his sermon trying to save everyone. So we actually end up quoting something from the Bible, and it just interpretation kind of lands it into the zombie field as well. And I was just like, okay, that's as much as we're going with. After that, it's going to just be pure chaos. We're going to get the angels, but they're going to be more warriors than anything else.
That's one of the things that I asked first was, because we're out to have a good time, but we're not necessarily trying to piss people off. So we're not trying to say we're taking a Catholic perspective or any other specific religion. We just stuck with religious in general, and just left it vague.
Don't get me wrong. There's always somebody that gets offended.
Oh yeah,
A fair share of DMs from
you
from
can't
people.
help that.
Yeah, but
Oh,
It is
you were
what it is.
offended. What happens next? Oh, nothing.
That's when
Move
you
on
pass out
like a fucking
straws.
adult.
That's when you pass out straws and tell them suck it up, Buttercup.
Or I give them a spoon so they can eat my ass.
Well, that was the next option.
Okay, so so the universe isn't necessarily dead just because the series of this small arc ends. Obviously, we want people to buy it because that's going to encourage you to keep doing it. What
We
would
only covered one small area of Earth in issue 1. I know what part of town that was, but that's only one part of town. You still got the whole planet we can mess with too.
of course, and in last year with Inktober, we had a group of guys that they did a whole bunch of fan art, and one of them did a fan art of his own version of a preacher with these 2 kids, and he was telling me like, yeah, he actually pointed out you never specified if this is the whole world. So in my town, there's another preacher fighting him off
Yeah.
with a fucking Lucille looking baseball bat. And I was like, that's an amazing interpretation. I love it because there's just so much opportunity. All you know is at some point or another in issue 1, there's a final exodus where everybody gets saved to heaven, only to find out that they're still fucked because the zombie apocalypse managed to figure out a way to get up there. So one way or another, there's just pure chaos and mayhem.
So is there like a subscription model where they could pay extra to get to the next tier of heaven without the zombies? Like, did they just not tithe enough? Is that what happened?
I'm not above bribery.
Same.
So they got like the low tier of heaven, but if they were a little bit more tithing, they could have gotten to like tier 1 with no zombies. Is that what's going on?
Dude, it comes to the point that I think the angels in issue 1 were more concerned about heaven and not the people, where to try to make sure that the zombies don't actually get across heaven's gate. The bridge reaching there, they just fucking blow the shit up with people still on it. So a little bit of a spoiler, but it's I think one of the first pages in the book.
Well, it's not really a spoiler now because so many fans have already bought issue 1.
Yeah, and that's
they already start seeing that stuff.
Issue
Yeah, you
1.
kinda see it coming
Just
in
getting the
issue
zombie
1.
And
apocalypse up there.
yes, I did enjoy myself a little too much when I got to draw some of those people landing from the bridge falling out.
That's one of the best pages, by the way. And then we have this cannonball zombie. I fucking love
put
that
that
one.
in there just to see if anybody would notice. What the hell?
Yeah, let me see if I can find it real quick.
So when do you expect, because obviously their comic book turnaround, Nick and I have talked about this with other creators, is a lot slower because first you got to draw it, then you got to color it, you got all the different steps along the way, which requires
It's a
syncing
process.
calendars. It's like herding cats, I imagine, to get everyone's schedule perfectly aligned. So when do you foresee volume 3 coming out? For people that say this is interesting, I want to get all 3. Obviously they backed the Kickstarter today, but when will the next one come out?
Well, okay, so
1 year?
issue 2, I want to make sure it gets to everybody's hands by April, May. If it's
sooner if we can.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it's all dependent on the schedule of everybody, of the creators. But the moment we have everything out, and we'll probably do a couple cons. Issue 3 is already like 80% written for the most part. So once we're done with issue 2 and done with all the campaigning, and the fulfillment, I think we'll just jump into it. Even if it's just starting off with just the first 8 pages and then starting the campaign there, and then we just continue in the background to get it done. But issue 2 is going to be 2025. I would assume issue 3 will be 2026.
I would say that, or maybe late 2025.
I don't know. It
For-
seems like you
for
guys are on a
campaign.
good pace
For
to put out
free.
2 issues.
One thing is the book done, and then the other thing is the campaign. The campaign will
Yeah.
definitely be in 2025 without a doubt.
Yeah.
It's just the printing and getting it arriving, and then the fulfillment that takes a minute.
Because
I
right
don't know,
now,
like issue 1 came out pretty. It was what, last year when issue
Yeah.
1 came out?
Yeah,
Well, I
campaign
think we had
for-
more of that book done as well.
Oh yeah. Okay, there's that.
But even then, no. But we had a couple delays when it came to issue 1. You were
Yeah.
also deployed. Where there was less timing for that. I think with issue 2, the minute the money comes in, I'm gonna lock you down and put a chain around your ankle and make sure you don't move. So I'm pretty sure that'll be quicker. I'm
We're
not
getting
worried
married?
about. But I do think we'll hit issue 2 quicker than we did with
Yeah.
issue 1. But issue 1, I want to say the campaign 2023 January was when the campaign came out.
That sounds about right. 'Cause I
Yeah.
saw on my Facebook recently that we had advertised for it or something.
Okay. So obviously, we're going to link to the Kickstarter in the show notes. So if you want to check it out, dear listener, click the link. If you like zombies, this is going to be for you. I think the art looks kind of cool. You got the guy with the combat stash, and that's all. That's the mark of excellence right there. You got to have the combat mustache because everybody drew. Everyone grew one. When stuff gets real, you want to scare them off with the power of your mustache.
Yeah, you want that mustache that doesn't allow you within 500 yards of a school.
No. There's this British guy that's got the combat stash. That's probably got like 3 confirmed kills on its own. It's like the handlebar and it twirls up.
That's because he's British, man. That shit don't count in the States.
He was SAS
war
though,
to make sure that don't count.
But he was SAS, so you don't say it to his face though.
Oh, I
will say though that
will say it to his face.
We're so dedicated to inappropriate humor. In issue 1, I killed off the entire creative team.
Yeah.
Can you kill me in issue 3?
So do you break the fourth wall?
He might from time to time, but I don't.
I think that's where it's not necessarily breaking the fourth wall, but there's definitely going to be something in issue 3 with it.
Okay. All right. Well, as we wrap this up, because I want to get this episode in the bag so we can get it out for you, dear listener and dear viewer, to check it out, back the comic. But any closing thoughts about the Exodus Z issue 1 and 2 that you think people need to know before we bring us to a close?
Feel free to buy as many copies as you want.
One for you, one for your friend.
Yep.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Get one for your grandma. She's going to love it.
So is there an option?
We got a little bit more than 3.5 weeks remaining. There's a million and 3 fucking what's this thing called? Stretch goals. So I do recommend everybody when they do check it out, just check out what the stretch goals are. Participate in commenting the campaign. It's literally every 10 comments worth of backers, we add free shit to it. That's one thing that I did in the first campaign. I think we walked out with like 7 pinups.
That sounds about right.
You're gonna be funded by next week.
And we had that show that we had the other day, George. I delivered it. I delivered the winner that purchased the copy during the stream. He got it today. So we should have it on Instagram. Another local creator, Adam Matthew Smith, had bought a copy of our book, and part of the contest we had going on at the time was if you bought a copy during the stream, that whichever cover you bought, that artist would draw a piece of art for you. Since Adam is local, I chatted with him during the live stream, and I delivered the concept art of the Fallout Angel.
Okay, the first one, the early one.
Yeah, that's the one that he chose.
Oh, okay. So now I need to make sure to write that down because I thought he was trying to go for the chibi one that the other guy, that Heckin Sketch, was doing.
No.
So I was like, okay, so I was already preparing to give him that one. I had a second backer that specifically, it's a buddy of mine that lives in Homestead, and he told me, like, how do I get that art of the floating zombie head? And I was like, well, back it before midnight, because that was the agreement for that stream. And I was like, back it before midnight. He literally backed it at 11:59.
Nice.
Like, you fucking procrastinator. You waited till the last goddamn second.
There's always one.
The thing that we do on that stream. They're called the Odd Contenders, and they wanted to do a second one. they just love drawing, and they're always willing to give it to send it out to the backers. We did that in Phantasmagoria, and I think we sent out like 7 different original arts
Yep.
for that. But for the most part, it's just more of the indie community helping each other. They're awesome with it, and they're like a group of like 10 of them, I think.
I believe so.
They're a big group, and every time
all over the country too.
Always a different guy.
Okay, so with that out of the way, Jorge, where can listeners and viewers, other than just going to Kickstarter page and giving you a little bit of their hard-earned money, how can they find you on the wild interwebs?
Okay, so I'm most active on Instagram. So it's it's the Comic Unknown. I'm also on Twitter, the Comic Unknown, Blue Sky, the Comic Unknown. I have a website, comicunknown.com, without the duh. But like I said, I'm most active on Instagram. You want to bother me, chat me up, send me a meme. That would probably be the one where I would respond.
And we do commissions through the Comic Unknown as well.
Yes. There's a shop in the Comic Unknown website where John actually has a batch of commissions available there, alongside with some of the mini prints and any of the extra goodies that we have there, the books, the different covers. There's even 11 by 17 posters that are limited numbered that are in there as well. But John definitely has his own little corner of that website for his commissions.
So Evil Ginger, how much to make Nick Sailor Moon, like to turn him into the Sailor Moon thing going on?
Because he likes. We'll figure something out.
Because him in the boat.
That will go on sale.
He's basically in like the Border Patrol Navy now. So I'm like, we got to start questioning that masculinity. All right, John. He's plotting the hit right now, but how can they find you on the internet? And as usual, links are in the show notes.
I'm seclusion either under my name on Facebook, John Epple, I believe it's 73 on Facebook, and then Instagram and everywhere else, Blue Sky, X, and what's the other one? Threads.
Oh yeah, Threads, but that's connected to Instagram.
That's
like
also
if you open up Instagram, you'll find that.
Yeah, but also I should have posts on all of them. That I should have all the links for all of them on every one of my pages.
So last question. This is the part, dear listener, where I remind you to please be kind and speak your mind on the reviewing platforms. Your reviews help the right readers find the right books. But obviously you're not selling on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, etc. So if someone wanted to review your comic, how would they do that?
We do have an account on Global Comics.
We have Global Comics, so they could check it there for the digital. But if there's a reviewer that wants to reach out to me, that's not an issue. Like I said,
I would say through the website.
Yeah, I think my website also has my email. It's thecomicunknown@gmail.com. But they reach out to me. I'm pretty active, and I always try to respond to anybody that sends me a message, especially when it comes to reviewers. We have I think 5 or 6 reviews for issue 1. And they were all positive. We got like 2 or 3 reviews for Phantasmagoria, all positive as well.
All the ones I saw on the Kickstarter seem to be pretty good reviews as well.
Yeah, so if they reach out to me, I have no issues of sending a reviewer a digital copy, and then they could check it out. As well as with Phantasmagoria, I keep pointing the wrong direction.
Yeah, because we do have a side quest in Phantasmagoria. To help tide you over between issues 1 and 2.
Yeah, so in Phantasmagoria, there is 7 pages of content where it takes place. Like the best way I could say it is, imagine issue 1, page 8. It just branches off because you see a plane, and then it's basically from the perspective of the plane, and then it will eventually branch back into like page 12. So it's this kind of little side story. It's called Zombie Fubar, and I want to see if maybe we'll probably do one in the future for issue 2 and as well for issue 3, just to bring in as much content as possible into the Exit Z universe.
Actually, I think that's my first writing too, because I wrote the original for Zombie Fubar, and then George fine-tuned it.
Yeah, that was originally a a John Epple story, and then I told him like, dude, look at it, and then pay attention to our story. We could let's revamp silly things here and there, but that fits right in. That's literally part of the Exit Z universe, and we just fine tuned it. We fixed it up a little bit, and then we added some references of what occurs in issue 1, and that was it.
So I was speaking when I said reviews more for the layman, because obviously insiders that do reviews, generally they have their own platforms where they can share it. But just the average rank and file comic reader, how do they go about reviewing stuff? Because I know like when I buy my books, I can review it if I'm buying it at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Walmart does digital books. Where do
There's
comic
platform out there right now?
Outside of our website and Global Comics, we're also on the Comics.1 app, but that's more of Australia. I'm pretty sure it's in our store digitally, and we tend to put it on sale significantly. So that in Global Comics. I think in Global Comics we have the Zombie Foobar story. There I go again. And I think in Global Comics the Zombie Foobar story is free.
You're dyslexic tonight.
No, dude, it's a fucking mirrored image. So I keep pointing the wrong direction because I'm paying attention to myself.
All right. With that out of the way, you can find us, dear listener, now that we got you all excited to go hit that buy button, you can find us on our Linktree, linktr.ee, Linktree / Blasters and Blades Podcast. Again, Linktree / Blasters and Blades Podcast, where we're linked to all the things, the BitChutes, the Rumbles, the YouTubes, the TikToks, the Twitters. We have our Blasters and Blades Facebook group and Facebook page. We have our email at blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. Again, blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. For professional purposes only, people. Send the shenanigans to Madam Stabby Stab at our Instagram, Twitter, and the email, all linked in the link tree. You can go to our website, also linked in the link tree, bunch of gobbledygook over there on Spotify. But when you go there, you can support the show for as little as 99 cents a month. You can help keep the lights on, or you can support the show more directly at buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Be sure to put in the comment section that it's for the podcast, and I promise I will keep my co-hosts duly caffeinated. They will drink that coffee brand coffee until they float away on a river of coffee. And then we will film them drowning in it. As Nick will be like that alligator in Florida with the butcher's knife in its head. That's going to be Nick floating around. But if you pull the knife out, you could be the king of the swamps, I guess.
You're going to be king of Florida, yeah.
Yeah.
Tony,
So,
Cuban coffee is where it's at.
Yeah.
I got to get some more. But I don't know. I'm not in my 20s anymore, so maybe I couldn't handle it. I don't know.
I wouldn't have any other caffeine that day, though.
Probably not.
You're pretty much.
But all right. Thank you for spending some of your precious time with us. For my crazy co-host, I am J.R. Handley, and this was the Blasters and Blades Podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time, where we'll indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom. Thank you guys for coming. We're going to air this out right away so we can get people back in your comic book Kickstarter. We appreciate you coming on. This is a lot of fun. We rambled, but that's what happens when we let John direct the flow of things because,
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's you and your beard, man.
I'm
Trim
all
that
about
shit.
organized chaos. Don't worry, man. Puberty will hit you one day, too.
And with that, we're going
I
to
have
hit
a
the
job
end.
that specifically requires that I keep it a certain length, so I got to trim it. Otherwise, it'd be as bushy as your Viking ass.
All right. And with that, boom.